A lot of good games coming out.
Yeah.
There's one game that we should talk about.
Oh God, you guys, Doom.
And then
I have to.
And then there's a game that I want to talk about. Even though we talked about it last week, I want to talk about it more.
I had to go do stuff last week in the middle of me playing Doom.
Oh God, right. You would have had to interrupt your dooming to fly to another city.
I was frantically trying to finish Doom Sunday night.
Wow.
And then, because I had to fly out Monday morning, and I got to basically the chapter before the last chapter.
Okay.
And was like, okay, I have to go to sleep. I have to pack. I have to do actual things and go to Los Angeles. I can't. No. I have to stop playing this game right now.
Did you?
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
I did. I had to. It was just literally there. Okay. I mean, I have to get up and drive to the airport. It will be in traffic. That'll suck. It will not be safe if I play any more of this game. So
gotcha.
I've gotten pretty good at doing that. But man, I would have much rather just finished Doom. So I went down there, to see other games and stuff in the context of being very close to the end of Doom, and it was really great having a lot of lengthy conversations about how great Doom is with people down there.
Yeah.
And then get back and finish it. I got back Wednesday and drove home and finished Doom.
Just immediately went back to
pretty
it.
much.
With a little spring in your step.
Yeah. All right, let's get back here, take care of Doom, handle some other business, and then finish Doom.
Has anybody besides me and Jeff finished it here?
I don't think...
I'm in hell now.
Yeah.
I
think Dan and I are...
That could mean a number of things. But
well, I mean, probably... I feel like I'm probably midway through it. I played some last night, got to hell.
Okay.
It seemed like there was going to be a boss fight, then there wasn't, and I went through a portal thing.
Okay.
If that clears it up at all.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna nod or frown or say anything that tells you anything about the rest of Doom. But okay, that's fine.
But I'm working
that's
on
where you're at.
I'll probably have it beat by the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm delighted to hear that that you are concerned about saying too much.
Doom's great.
There
are things that happen along the way in Doom that are fun to see. It's not to say that it is some story heavy game.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's got stuff.
There's a surprising number of amazing reveals and just things that happen that just make you very happy.
But removed from that stuff, just what a phenomenal campaign.
God, it's so good. I know I said that 18 times last week.
It's so good. It has retroactively made me dislike other shooter campaigns I've played over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yep. Absolutely,
because it is so smartly constructed and well designed, and they so carefully pluck the things from old Doom that they want to try to preserve or enhance, but don't do that in a way that makes it feel like this new old game or anything like that. It feels like a very modern game.
Yep. It integrates that stuff seamlessly. It doesn't beat you over the head with it.
They have thrown away the stuff that wouldn't make sense in a modern shooter.
Yeah.
They have pulled forward things that you didn't even know you wanted from the original game. And added new systems and stuff that are intelligently designed in a way that makes it the glory kill kind of health recovery system, the chainsaw ammo recovery system, stuff that makes it a more active game in a way that Doom sort of always was, while still kind of giving you outs and giving you options and giving you things to do and things to think about in a way that maybe original Doom didn't. At least not to that extent.
Or you had fewer options.
You had fewer options. The options were don't get shot.
Right.
The options were run back and pick up health.
Quick save and then go in this room and try to get through it without dying.
Whereas this is okay, now my option is okay, I'm going to run up here, chainsaw this thing, which is going to make a bunch of ammo spit out. Then I'll have enough ammo to switch to this weapon and do this. I was constantly switching between pretty much all of the weapons. I had a few that I would rely on to start a battle.
Yep.
But because of the amount of ammo you get and you increase it over time, but it still never feels like infinite ammo.
Yeah.
It forces you to kind of play around with it and play around with a lot of the different weapons and care about the different weapons in a way that I probably didn't even care about in the original Doom that much.
Yeah, and there are so many things that feed into that variety, like the way the weapon challenges work. It encourages you to switch different weapons to upgrade those weapons,
and then upgrade the runes and stuff.
So it's switching runes around. Also, I found a lot of weapon and enemy pairings that I liked a lot. Like every time a Mancubus would show up, I went to the charged gas rifle,
totally,
like to the head. Like
exactly.
That's the way to kill those
That
things.
is the way to kill those things.
And then when they die, and they like you don't always get it, but once in a while, when you get the death animation where the torso explodes, but the head is still sitting there on the top of the spine, waving back and forth like a flagpole. And, oh my god!
Wow.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous like the gore is ridiculous enough to like be funny, as opposed to like they didn't go out of their way to make like some super dark, serious Doom rip and tear. Like they didn't make
like nothing about this game takes itself all the way seriously.
Yeah, like they didn't make Doom as a sequel to Spawn or some bullshit. You know, it doesn't feel like some 90s ass thing that's like, look at how serious this murder is. Like that would be super stupid. Like they approached it with a sense of humor, I think, that really serves it surprisingly well.
Yeah.
And that goes across the gameplay and story. Just like a lot of different things about that game feel lighthearted for a game that it has so much straight up murder in it.
I think the darkest stuff about that game is the stuff that references like sort of corporate obeisance of employees and stuff like that. Like when you're coming across like pages from the employee handbook that tell you how to give yourself over willingly to a demon so that your workplace or so that your workstation doesn't get fucked up.
Right.
So the company doesn't lose
assets.
Like, company assets when you die.
or we can study your body after a demon kills you.
Yeah.
So just I mean, don't fight because it'll shred your body and then we won't be able to.
It's amazing.
There a lot of really great bits of dialogue and like they made all the story stuff, like all the codex entries, worth reading.
Absolutely, like,
in that
shockingly
game,
so.
in a way that is just like they make the concept of having a character named Doom Marine actually make sense. And be like gleefully like kind of amazing.
Like the number of times that the word Doom comes up in the dialogue is incredible.
But like
how?
But it's really for me it's like the encounter design and just a lot of the you walk into combat and it starts and then just routinely I would finish a section and just go like, man, that was fucking awesome. And just come away from it feeling like so good about the thing that just happened.
Sometimes like barely alive, too.
Right? Yeah, it's just I murdered all of those people. This is great,
and it gives you time to breathe afterwards.
That's
so great.
There's a lot of rise and
really
fall.
good.
Because you're not fighting constantly. Sometimes you're looking for stuff.
It feels very fair. You feel very in control. I played it on PC, and it made me want to play it with a mouse and keyboard, which I haven't felt about a shooter campaign in a pretty long time.
Yeah, like I got through it fine on the PS4, but there were numerous times where I was like, well, I totally would have nailed that headshot if I had a mouse.
Sure,
if you can play it on PC.
I was, it has like the weapon wheel thing. You can still call it up on PC,
right?
But
who
I was hitting the numbers.
Yes.
The numbers are right there. I can just hit the numbers. And some of them were just like super shotguns on like 7 or 8 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Weird.
Because the order you're getting weapons in seems to matter, right? So there's kind of a little bit of that, but you hit 5, you get what you think you should get.
Yes, okay,
it happens.
All right,
it's
good,
sort of
good.
It's an id game. It's an id game, I guess. Actually, maybe that's the
like weirdly so.
Like weird, yes. In a way that I think Wolfenstein was not an id game, but also Wolfenstein felt like way more of a new thing. That was pulling from what Wolfenstein was, and it was great in its own right. But this feels like a little more devoted to its source material in a way that I think makes perfect sense.
Yeah, Wolfenstein had a lot of like stealth and melee focus that was not in 3D.
The New Order felt like Wolfenstein as filtered through like the Starbreeze like tone and aesthetic,
and
or
like
machine games.
That's, and that's cool. And
it is.
That is a really cool game, and they did some amazing things when making that to try to make it still referential to Wolfenstein, but here's not some game that you're going to go like, this is a crap game for babies to play in 1991 or whatever. Like they actually make it matter. And Doom makes it matter, but I think Doom also does a better job of speaking to the reasons why people liked Doom in the first place.
100%.
And I came out of that thing going like, man, and this is like a weird thing. And the more I think about it, the more I think maybe I'm crazy, but then I think like, no, maybe I'm not. I really want a new Quake now.
Dude, those all I could think about after this was over was, okay, what's going to happen next? And like, there's been a headline going around like, oh, it is hiring. I'm sure you saw that.
I saw
but, like,
some job listings that apparently mention Quake.
But it's very vague. Like, you know, like if you want to come join the studio that made you know, like it's very much like legacy of id type stuff.
Right,
it's not. We are hiring for a new Quake project. But yeah, like
because they're working on Rage 2, obviously.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
No, that's the one.
Finish the fight.
But yeah, like that raises the question of what that would be, and if it's anything other than a reboot of Quake 1, I don't want it. Like,
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Like the absolute wrong thing to do is to follow up the Quake 2, Quake 4, like Space Zombie Strogg stuff.
Yeah, the Strogg stuff. Like Quake 4, I don't think it's a great game. And I think that they shouldn't have shown the Stroggification process as part of their preview tours before the game's release.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of the one thing that campaign had going for it.
Yeah. But it's just a little too trite, you know? Like cyborg space monsters, like for one thing, that's a little too close to Doom.
But also I think like, you know, like if you go for what Quake 1 really was trying to be about, that kind of Lovecraftian sort of thing, like other, you know, Bloodborne, like other games have tapped into that better sense in a way that I don't know that like Quake 1, like what, I don't know that I want that.
Well, if you get in there and really look at it, I mean, there's also some like gothic medieval kind of stuff with like knights with swords and there's some kind of modern military, like the Slipgate stuff. If you read the whole like 3 paragraphs of text that game had as a story, like, that's all modern military stuff.
Right.
It's a weird mess that is a direct result of like how much strife was going on within id when it was made.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Definitely.
But it's a beautiful mess.
Right. Yeah.
It's weird.
And you know, and that game was a time and a place, and that was a technology that we hadn't seen.
Yeah.
You know, and the way it handled multiplayer, and then, you know, after Quake World came along, like they made that game sort of playable on a modem. But that's the sort of stuff that like doesn't matter now. Like that's really cool as like, you know, let's tell our old man stories about what it was like to play Quake before broadband penetration was high enough.
It was the best.
No, it was not.
I mean, it sucked, but you felt pretty good when you came in first on a server on your 28.8.
That's
totally.
It was pretty awesome.
When you got good at playing on a modem, it felt like the baddest ass shit ever.
I could lead rockets pretty well with 300 ping. Like it was.
But then I got my job at GameSpot and came in and they were playing on a LAN and I was like, wait,
this is how it's actually supposed to work.
And then I got a cable modem and it was just like, well, this is fucking clearly the way to play all video games ever.
And then Quake 3 Dreamcast happened. It was the most awful halves versus halves.
Oh my god, it was the best. It was the best. Quake 3 for Dreamcast is canonically the best, worst version of that game. Because it supported mouse and keyboard, which no one owned, and it supported the broadband adapter, which no one owned. So it was like the vast majority of players were not only playing on dial-up, it was dial-up on a fucking Dreamcast, and they were playing with a controller. And so you're sitting there with a Dreamcast mouse and keyboard with a broadband adapter.
Not a dual analog stick controller.
Not a dual and also, yes, not a dual analog controller. Just fucking these people up. Oh, it was the best. Still got that John Carmack autographed Dreamcast, which is like forever dumb.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is like really a phenomenal game, and I can't really speak to how well it would do, but it seems like people who do not have any reverence for original Doom are still coming away from it like satisfied.
I've got no end of comments from people saying, like I never played Doom back in the day, and this is still an incredible game.
It's refreshing. Like taken in a modern context, it's refreshing. You think about. I was talking to Greg Kasavin about this game earlier last week, and yeah, it was just that thing of like it. You think about the most frequent action you take in most modern shooters, it's fucking hide and wait for your health to regenerate.
Yep.
And this game is, very much like go out there and get your health back.
Yeah. Also, reloading is something you do a lot.
Sure.
Yeah. Hide behind a box to reload
and regain your health. Yeah. Whereas this game is like, if you want more ammo and more health, go out there and get it. Which is like, I mean, in some ways, it's almost like a Bloodborne-esque approach to like, hey, you just got hit, go get your health back.
Yeah.
Like,
earn it.
Fucking take it out of this guy's ass before the meter drains. Which I think is, like that ended up being a really cool system in Bloodborne, I thought.
Yeah.
So, active action I think is the thing that game does that other shooter campaigns don't.
I find myself moving forward like way more. In that game than in most other
like
shooters.
walking towards enemies is going. I'm going to murder everyone.
Like, if I don't kill them on the first pass, you know what? I'm going to keep walking around in that circle and I'm going to shoot the shit.
That's because you can. You know, you got the mobility to juke around them and jump up higher and
double jump over them once you get that upgrade. You know, these pinky demons, you're just like, I'm just hopping over them and shooting rockets at them as I'm going over them.
Like double jumping over a guy, triggering the glory kill with the shotgun midair, and then and engaging it before you hit the ground, in one fluid motion. This feels better than like any shooter I've played in like 10 years.
Yeah, it's really great.
How'd they do it, man?
I don't know.
They took forever. They made a game halfway and scrapped it and started over. Like, you know, you look at like who is id now,
right?
You know, and the
people that like id games,
right? I guess so. Yeah, because the names of people in the credits. Like it's like Kevin Cloud, like you recognize some of the names,
3 or 4 people.
But when you think of the
old days,
the old days of id, and you knew everyone's name, and you know you were fingering their plan files, all this other stuff. Like you know, there are not many people, recognizable people on the list, but whatever. Like they did a fantastic job with a seemingly impossible task.
Yeah, right. It is like such an anomaly that I'm still baffled by it.
Yeah, it's really. It's a real eye opener. You know, you look at it and you're like, man, this is like but I don't know how applicable it is. Like lessons learned on this to like what, you know, could another game reboot based on how well Doom did? Like, do you go greenlight something else? Like, I don't know that there are that many things you could learn from it because it's so specific to that case and so specific to Doom.
Yeah, like gameplay things. Like you wouldn't take like a modern military shooter and make it like, okay, now you don't reload. Like, I just don't see a lot of games doing that.
Yeah, but also, like, people aren't necessarily making modern military
or even just like
anymore,
Call of Duty
so,
or, you know, series like that have been based on reloading and regenerating.
I would love to. I am very eager to see what that game is, given that they are going full future. Because imagine,
I guess they could totally change things up this time.
They could.
You know?
I mean,
I doubt they would, though.
I doubt they will because so many of those rules feel etched in stone, and because they put out one every year, even with it being different studios, you know, every 3 years. You know, it doesn't seem like that there's time to marinate on what is this thing we're making?
Yeah.
What is this thing that these 3 studios as core studios and then Raven and all these other assist teams and stuff that work on the games as well? Like, does anyone ever really have time to take a breather, even on a 3-year cycle, and sit down and go, what the fuck are we doing? Beyond like, well, let's go to the future. I don't know. And I'm sure, obviously, I'm sure they spent more time thinking about it than that, but yeah, I don't know. Doom feels considered. Its actions feel deliberate, and it really benefits from that vibe in a way that, like, you know, I don't know that Call of Duty could have because they put one out every year. You know, you can't sit there and take like, oh, let's take 20 years off and then really think about what Call of Duty means.
And they try
to make a bunch of games that are sort of like it in the wake, and then come back and show them how it's done. Yeah, I don't know.
They try to find some hook with Call of Duty to make each one unique, whether it's like an exosuit or a different time period or something. But nothing, you know, makes it feel as unique as Doom does, as far as just changing the entire way you play a first-person shooter campaign.
It feels 100% true to itself, and not as if it was chasing what's popular in the market.
But also,
you know?
I would say that we're leaving out the part where the multiplayer in Doom does kind of feel like it's chasing modern shooters in a way that the campaign does not.
Yeah,
and that's the weird thing is like you look at the campaign and like every like awesome, amazing decision that got made on the campaign, it felt like the multiplayer they made the exact opposite and just went like, well, let's do this modern stuff. Let's pull this modern thing in. Let's have a domination mode and loadouts. Like here's the loadouts and you can only have 2 weapons. And like all the stuff that we think of when we think about modern shooters, and it's still not fast enough.
Yeah,
like when you think about Doom, you think about just the high speed at which it operates, and it's faster than the average shooter, but not in the way you want.
Yeah, well, especially because like you can tag a guy 3 or 4 times with a rocket and he doesn't go down.
Exactly.
There's a certain. Although I've
direct hits do 55 damage, so 2 rockets should actually kill someone. But it doesn't feel right.
They've always got extra health or armor, but I will say I warmed up to it a little bit since I posted the review, from playing some more of it. Like mainly because you get a little bit of that rocket ballet from like old Quake, you know, like a little bit of that. You run into a guy coming around a corner and you're going to dance around each other like shooting rockets at each other's feet to try to get enough splash damage to get the kill. You know, like there's a little bit of
There's
that.
a little bit of that. And I got some of that in the snap map mode, actually, because that's where it has just 4-player regular deathmatch as an option. And it's hard to find other players there, but that mode feels like the thing you want Doom multiplayer to be more so than the actual multiplayer mode, which feels like it's just chasing after what shooters have become. Snap map is... You know, there are problems with it because it's got player matching and all this other stuff that doesn't work really well. And, you know, every time I hit like quick match DM, it's like it pulls up the same 2 maps and never any other human players.
Yeah.
But I did get into basically a Rocket Arena match with one other person, and it was absolutely that. It was absolutely like, I am in this tiny room.
Yeah.
I can pick any weapon I want, so I will pick the rocket launcher, obviously, and let's go fight.
That's awesome.
And that worked about as well as you expect from like a Quake kind of thing.
Sure.
But not, I would still say that Quake did it better. And, you know, they outsourced parts of the multiplayer stuff were handled by a different team.
Yeah.
And it shows. It shows.
Yeah, just in terms of philosophy. I mean, like it's well made enough. It's just not. It just doesn't differentiate itself.
I look at it like the multiplayer beta was like very disappointing. But if you like try to take a step back from the emotional aspect of it and go like, what is this thing? It's just boring. Yeah, you know, the worst I could say about the multiplayer is that like they don't do anything with it that is especially interesting. And they don't even and the disappointing part is they fail to capitalize on the strengths of the campaign. And it just feels like they, you know, a multiplayer team somewhere made this game in a vacuum and barely checked on what the campaign team was doing. Because I think, you know, there's a better game there. But whatever, the campaign is great. I kind of want to play it again.
Yeah, totally.
I kind of want to play it again.
Yeah.
Just nuts.
Higher difficulty.
Like I don't want this to come off as like a fucking get good scrub kind of thing, but I went back and started cleaning up trophies and stuff, and I dropped the difficulty because, you know, it's just easier to do that way. And there's a profound difference in like the number of enemies they spawn into encounters and the types of enemies. Like playing through the last level on a lower difficulty, like there's just less stuff coming at you and less types of stuff. Like I
played through on the middle on the default, but I guess you can take your weapon unlocks and like runes and stuff into a subsequent playthrough.
Yes, sure.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah. So now I kind of want to go back on, I guess not Ultra Nightmare, but Nightmare maybe.
Yeah. Well, Ultraviolence is the next one up.
Right.
What you played.
But I kind of want to just go up. Because if I'm going to have all these runes and stuff, like, might as well go for it.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that might work okay. I went and got there's a trophy for just getting through the first level on Ultra Nightmare, and that took me like 3 or 4 deaths to get through. Like,
because it's like a hardcore mode. If you die once, you restart. Right?
So regular Nightmare is just that without the hardcore aspect.
Right,
like you can just respawn when you die, but you fucking die like 3 hits and you're dead. Yeah. It's pretty rough. But the combat is so good in that game. Like there's such an elegant like dance to the whole thing, you know, as you're just like leaping between levels and going for glory kills to get health back, and it's just it almost feels, and I've seen this comparison, so I know I'm not totally crazy. Like it almost feels a little Halo-esque in how active and dynamic it is. In terms of moving around and enemies flanking you and chasing you, and it's
sure.
You know, it's got a similar kind of vibe.
For me, though, when I think about Halo, I think about a game that runs at about a third of the speed.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, like Halo feels like way more deliberate, and the areas are usually a lot larger. So it's kind of just, it happens at a different scale. But this feels not claustrophobic, but you are enclosed. You are trapped with these fucking demons. Murder them all.
Yeah.
Ripping, tearing. You know, the things you need to do.
Huge guts.
Pretty
much sums it up.
Cool. It's cool. That's a cool ass game.
There's like 8 other things I want to praise about it, but I feel like that'll wait till the end of the year once everybody has finished it.
Yeah.
Because it's like a late game and little reference type stuff.
Yeah.
Like some of the super subtle ways that thing pays homage to the first 2 Doom games are just incredible.
I installed Doom 3.
Wow. Wow.
Because I needed to know.
Yeah.
What's going on in Doom 3, Jeff?
It's
like just regular Doom 3, not
BFG edition.
You got BFG edition.
Which,
okay.
It's man, yeah. You come into Mars on a spaceship, and then the Marine talks to this doctor, and then you're walking around. You get your PDA, and like I got like 15 minutes in, I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep.
It takes a while for monsters to show up.
It's a slow start for sure.
Very slow start.
Well, relative. I mean, what is it, like 20, 30 minutes before you start shooting stuff? Like that's long by Doom standards.
I mean,
it's like 4 seconds in the new one.
It feels like an eternity.
Yeah.
In that game.
I mean, that game was also very much a time and place thing of like, this is just like a radical leap in graphics tech that nobody has ever seen before.
Yes,
but
and you look back on it now, I
is,
don't think it looks particularly good
yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
obviously,
it's a 12-year-old game.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I remember
At the time,
we had to send someone to L.A.
That was me.
Did you went to L.A. to pick up copies of that game?
Oh, no, not to pick up the copies. I thought you were going to say, I went down there for that G4, maybe it was G4ia, whatever their awards thing was, because it was the first public place that they had Doom 3 playable.
No, when it came out,
that was
Activision
Adam Buchan.
Yeah,
got
Adam went down there and picked up copies of Doom.
Because I forget why.
Because there was a store that had it. And
did he go buy them?
Yeah, they weren't sending out copies.
Did he drive?
No, he flew.
Okay.
So I have a copy of Doom 3 that still has like a receipt taped to it because I had to give him money for that copy of Doom.
Yeah. That's right. That was only like the night before it would have been in stores or something. But at the time, it was worth it to get it 12 hours earlier.
Yeah, to just start doing review stuff.
In fact,
start working on it.
I think if I remember, Greg got one of those copies and just sat down and stayed up all night playing.
I think that is exactly
I remember coming in the next morning at like 9:30, and there he is, like still sitting there with like 8 people standing around watching, like him playing through the end of Doom 3.
Yeah, I got that game home and started playing it, and I just immediately was like, this seems terrible. Like out of the box, did not like Doom 3. I know it's all like trendy to hate it now, but I didn't like it then. Is what I'm saying.
I just, I approached it kind of as a survival horror game, like the way they were pitching it,
Yeah, I guess.
It's not. Yeah, it was not something I played in the afternoon with the window open or whatever. It was kind of a late night with headphones thing, and it worked. I see Drew nodding his head down there.
I liked Doom 3.
He understands.
I beat it on Halloween.
Nice. Yeah, that's good. I borrowed a video card from the office to play through it.
Nice,
because I didn't have one that was good enough.
Yeah. Just anyway, Doom is fantastic,
phenomenal. It's the feel-good hit of the season.
Yeah. Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprised it.
Could not be more delighted with the way that thing turned out.